The World Breaker. So this is a trilogy. This is a trilogy and the a three-part to the series I was doing, known as the Forsaken Ones. This is the third part of that. The World Breaker is in reference to the lopsided sexual market, uh, where most men are kind of being weeded out of the marketplace, and uh, for a lot of different reasons: economic reasons, social reasons, biological proclivities between the sexes, and things like that. Um, the more pertinent thing about this is that it has a lot of intense consequences for society, and I don't think we're really taking it serious. Uh, so the cover of the video is pertaining to World Breaker Hulk. Hulk was transferred. He was tricked, actually. He was tricked into thinking that he was on a mission, but then that mission ended up with him in a ship, locked in a ship, and sent to a planet. Uh, and the planet he was sent on, I believe the planet is Sakar. Um, and on that planet, he rose up to became very powerful and prominent, and like the king of the planet, essentially, I believe. But his wife, the ship that he was sent there in, it blew up. Like it had a bomb in it. I guess the bomb was intended to kill him, but it ended up killing his wife, and he was angry, and he felt betrayed by people he was closest to, and this made him extremely angry, and he went on a rampage, an angry rampage. Um, he ended up going back to Earth in a ship and pretty much wrecking all the X-Men and wrecking all the Avengers in order to get to the Illuminati to eventually wreck them. Uh, and along his journey, there were a lot of people telling him to stop and stop, but they couldn't stop it because he pretty much reached his threshold. Um, there are some men who, and there are a lot of men who are actually fine. They're just fine. They get a lot of women and things like that. I would still say this is like the top 20% of men, not the lion's share of them, but um, there are a lot of men who are, in the 80% of men who don't really get a lot of action. They don't get access to the box. Uh, they don't get the goods, whatever you want to call it. Uh, and it's funny, women resent that men are looking for that because they're like, "Why are you looking for that? That's not all I'm worth," and stuff like that. Uh, Now, the interesting thing that they don't realize is that men are starved of physical affection and that particular kind of thing, and that's why they're looking for it, is because they don't have that need met. It'd be like asking a a poor person, why are you looking for shelter? Why are you looking for specifically, like, why are you looking for specifically money? But then they don't have money, right? And that's why they think money has the ultimate value. Um, but the World Breaker, these would be men who took the red pill. They are in the red pill rage phase, but they take it to its most extreme. And this is what society is going to have to face going forward, and it already has in some degrees. You have men who've, school shootings and things like that, men who've committed violent acts against their wives after they've gotten a divorce. There was recently a man who he took forklift, or he took some construction equipment, and his wife got the house in a divorce, but he ended up taking the equipment with him and his friend and destroying the house. He destroyed the home. Um, so that would be part of that example of the world breaker. Um, but then you have men who take more extreme actions, like I think there was a guy who lit himself on fire in front of a court, like in front of the courthouse steps. Uh, you have a guy in Plano, Texas. Actually, his wife was celebrating the divorce, with her friends in his house. I guess she got custody, or she got the house, but he ended up walking in the house and just opening fire on everyone, on the people that were in the house. Um, the world breakers are men who they couldn't cope and heal, or they chose not to. Rather, let's just say they met their threshold and they chose violence. Um, I think you get a lot of these kind of men initially where they want to choose violence, but then they settle down and they think, okay, I'll just relax and go find something to do. They find ways to cope that aren't violent. But then there are specific men who are very particularly passionate who choose the more violent route, and this can be due to the knowledge and the betrayal that the knowledge gives them, understanding the true nature of women, the hypergamistic instincts, the fact that most women are attracted to men who have higher status and who are physically taller and who are, basically all of these things and all the factors, and pretty much their social status, meaning that they don't really have a chance with most women, and the staggering difficulties that they face as a result, and the lack of knowledge that they have. This culminated with a lot of the anti-male messages that that is, I believe, is what creates the world breaker. Uh, and I think this is something that we're going to have to. I think this is one of the reasons why telling the truth early is extremely important, because the world breaker is an archetype that requires an extensive amount of lying, an extensive amount of brainwashing, in order to create. It requires a lot of time. But these individuals, once they break, they wreak havoc on other people's lives, which is one of the reasons why, even though I like red pill information and I like evolutionary biology and psychology and things like that, and understanding the true nature of men and women and what actually guides our behavior subconsciously, um, teaching these ideas and throwing these ideas out to people who are unknowing and who are naive and who've basically been raised to believe certain things, and then they get disenchanted. It can also be extremely dangerous. And the world breakers, these would be individuals who have the most devastating response to it. And world breakers can be women too. They can even be children. Um, but the whole idea of world breakers is that these individuals, they don't they don't have a level-headed response to unraveling the dark truths of the world, the dark truths of humanity. They they seek revenge. They want revenge for not knowing the dark truths, and they want revenge for the seeming deceit that has been bestowed upon them. And they also want revenge for the love that they won't be able to have as a result of the societal changes, the result of the biological truths that they're coming to terms with. Uh, it just so happens that the world breaker is another term for someone who's going through red pill rage, but goes to the most extreme. We need to talk about these things more serious because we need methods to deal with it. Uh, because a lot of men don't really know how to deal with red pill rage, and weightlifting is not it's not the only way. There's other methods, but we need to give practical methods for men to deal with this rage and to channel it into something that will benefit them, as opposed to hurting others and even possibly themselves. The world breaker.